G'day everyone. Before we hop into today's vlog, I just want to remind you to please hit that subscribe button. From now on, I'm going to be putting out daily online poker vlogs. We're going to be tracking my process as I play these 6 max online poker cash games 6 out of 7 days of the week. Make sure you hit subscribe so you get the vlogs as they come out. But for now, onto the vlog. G'day everyone, welcome back to the vlog. It is currently 6:30 a.m. here in Melbourne. I've just woken up, getting ready for another big day of playing online poker. The plan for today, as always, is to get in 1,500 hands of online 1-2-6 max cash games. Before I get into the poker though, I need to get a feed. Probably just going to have some leftovers for today and then hop straight in the game. Before I get into the game today, to ensure that I do play my A grade level, I just want to make sure I am paying attention to all of the other opponents at the table. And I think the most efficient way for me to do this is to actually play less games. And it's what I've been doing for most of this week, is playing 4 tables instead of 5. So I'm going to go back to 4 tables today and just really finely tune in on what each opponent is doing. If I ever feel like I'm off my A game, I'm tilted, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm just going to stop, take a break, eat something, rest a bit, do whatever I need to do before I can come back. And I do feel like I'm up to playing my A grade again, then hopefully we can get a good grade out for myself today. So without any further ado, let's get in the game. Welcome back everyone. It's currently 4:30 in the afternoon here in Melbourne and I've just wrapped up my second poker session for the day. Well, wrapped it up a while ago. I've had a shower since, put on the face mask to give my face a bit of a clean, and I figured whilst I have to wait 15 minutes to peel it off, let's go over today's results. I did play a total of 6 hours and 15 minutes today for a grand total of 1,524 hands, which, as you can probably tell, I did stick to what I said I would do. I only played 4 tables throughout the entire day. We'll get into the gameplay grade in terms of whether it did help me focus or not, but in terms of results for the session, I did lose 50 today, which obviously is a bit of a smaller loss, but still a loss nonetheless. And in terms of my gameplay grade, I'm going to give myself a B. I do think I was able to focus a bit better having it only be 4 tables, but considering that it should be able for me to focus a lot better on 4 tables as opposed to 5, I'm pretty underwhelmed with my performance today. I think I was pretty undisciplined in certain spots. I'm not sure what it is, maybe I just didn't eat enough. I've had a pretty small breakfast, as I alluded to earlier. I just felt in certain spots where I I should be folding against a tighter player pool. I sort of got a bit undisciplined and decided to call anyway, which I lost a few big hands on the river because of that, and I really have to hold myself accountable for that and downgrade myself to a B. Having said that though, beyond that, I do like how I played for the most part. I did make good exploits in other hands. I stayed disciplined pre-flop for the most part, so can't go too low with the gameplay grade, so I'm going to give myself a B for today. Okay, so that's 15 minutes. I'm going to take this stuff off, then we're going to get into the poker. Okay. That's the first face mask I've ever used. I actually don't know if I'm meant to touch my face after doing that. But yeah, my skin feels pretty good, like it's been moisturised. I think you guys can tell this is not a beauty channel, this is definitely a poker channel. So let's get into today's hand history. The action falls to a loose aggressive button who actually decides to open limp, and then gets to me in the big blind and I have ace-10 of hearts. I go ahead and raise it up to 12. And then the button does call. So we go heads up to a flop of 7-6 deuce with 2 hearts. So pretty good flop for us. We do flop the nut flush draw. But when the action's on me, I think we have a very interesting decision point, whether we want to c-bet or not. Obviously c-betting makes a world of sense here as a semi-bluff with a hand that has a lot of equity and also a lot of showdown value with ace high as well, considering I say this pretty often about people who do limp call. I think that a lot of them do it with ace X type hands that obviously we're going to be ahead of most of the time with ace 10 here. So it makes a lot of sense to bet here as well. However, in this spot specifically, I do decide to check just because I had noticed that this opponent was a loose aggressive opponent. They like to take stabs at the pot when you do check. And as a strategy to try and outplay people who do this, I think it's a really good idea to protect your checking range with a lot of really strong hands. Obviously, this hand is very strong, so I think it's a good one to mix into that check range, which is what I do. Then the action goes over to my opponent, and wouldn't you know, they go ahead and make it 12.5. When the action's back on me here, another pretty interesting decision point. I do think there is some merit to check raising as a semi-bluff, but I would rather just call in this spot. Because like I said, I think we do beat a bunch of the hands in my opponent's range. But when we do mix in a check range and we still get action, I think it's pretty likely that we will be behind if my opponent does have a pair. If they do have a worse flush draw, that'd actually be a great hand to inflate the pot against now. But I don't think we need to, because they're still going to bet off with those hands on the turn. And then if we do make a flush, we'll get to stack them with those. So I don't think I really need to check raise here. I think calling's a better option. And it's what I do. So we go heads up to a turn, which is another pretty good one. It's the ace of spades. So we do make top pair here. The action's on me, and again, I do think there is some merit to leading out here. Obviously, we're going to be check calling a bunch of ace-x hands, and my opponent, if they do have a one pair hand that's worse than an ace, I think they're going to check behind a lot, and we could potentially get value by leading out. Also, if we did want to have a bluff, this will be a great turn for us to lead bluff on, and you definitely want to balance that range with some value bets if you're going to take that line. However, I decide to check here. Like I've said, throughout the majority of this hand, I do think my opponent does have a lot of ace-x hands in their range, and I definitely can see them going ahead and betting those on the turn when they figure they've turned the best hand. And also, if they are bluffing, we want them to keep bluffing at it. That'd be great for me. So I do go ahead and check it over to them. And unfortunately, they decide to check back. So they didn't quite fall for it, but we are still heads up to a river, which is the ace of diamonds. So the action's on me. And yet again in this hand, we have another very interesting decision point, whether we want to check it over to the loose aggressive opponent, potentially do induce a bluff or a value bet from a worse hand, or do we just want to bet out for value ourselves? Well, the only reason I don't like checking it in this specific dynamic is I really do think if my opponent had a hand that they wanted to bluff with, they will probably just bet on the ace turn. I think the fact that they did decide to check there, it does mean they have some type of showdown value, whether they had a 7 or potentially even an ace that did check the turn themselves. I just think that turn check is very indicative of them having some type of showdown value. And honestly, I would rather lead out to try and get value from that hand. And to be 100% honest, I think it's a really good spot to lead really big, just because if my opponent did check an ace behind on the turn and they did river trips, I don't think there's any way in the world they're folding to a bet, especially when the front door flush and the open-ended straight draw is all missed. And additionally, even if they do have a hand like a 7, I think that hand's probably going to fold whether I bet small or I bet big. So I might as well just go for maximum value when my opponent does have an ace. And that's what I actually go ahead and do. I go ahead and shove it all in for about 130, which is obviously a massive overbet of the pot. But like I said, if my opponent did check behind an ace on the turn, I really think they're going to call it off regardless that my line looks very strong. And I do have all the ace king, ace queen hands in my range, which my opponent probably doesn't. I don't think that'll matter here. I think they'll call off with an ace-x hand anyway. So I rip it in for about 130. Then my opponent is in the tank. And they actually tank maximum, and right before their timer runs out, they throw in the call. Oh, we're loving that news when we get the tank call. And then I show my ace-10, and my opponent shows 8-7 offsuit. So they actually did call down with a one pair hand, despite my giant bet. I guess they thought my range was so polar that I could definitely be doing it with like an open-ended straight draw or miss flush type of thing. Very glad that they came to that decision to call though, because we get absolute max value without trips and absolutely beaming. The way I played this one, I did get maximum value with the way I played the hand, but in the long run, I'm not really sure if this is the best line to take with the ace-10 here. So hop down in the comments below and let me know your thoughts, how you would play this hand, particularly on the river. You're on the river against a loose aggressive opponent. Do you think it's better to just check it over to them to induce a bet from a worse hand? Or do you do what I did? Bet for value. And if you do bet for value, I'm really curious to hear what bet sizing you would use. I do think it's potential that I went way too big, and this might actually induce hero folds, even from a hand as strong as ace-x, because it does look so strong. Probably not a good move to mix in if you do have a tight table image, which honestly, I think I probably did at this table, but hop in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on this hand. It's a very interesting one in my opinion. That's going to wrap up another vlog for today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I really do appreciate you getting to the end of this video. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Like I said in my previous vlog, I really do think my consistency with putting out the Day-Leigh vlogs is going to be affected by the move I've got coming up. I just don't have quite as much time to both play poker and record a vlog every single day, but I will be trying my best to get a vlog out every day. Just hit subscribe, you'll get the videos when they do come out. But for now, I'm out of here. Peace.